Hey, how's it going? In this tutorial series, we're going to look at creating a trading robot in MetaTrader 5. But first, we're going to take a look at the purpose of using a trading robot and the advantages of using a trading robot. So, a trading robot, also known as an automated trading system or expert advisor, EA for short, that's what MetaTrader calls it, is a software program designed to automatically execute trading decisions based on predefined rules and algorithms. So here are some purposes and benefits of using a trading robot. Efficient execution. Trading robots can execute trades with speed and precision, as they are not subject to human emotions or manual errors. They can quickly analyze market conditions, identify trading opportunities, and execute trades without delay. Consistency. Trading robots strictly adhere to predefined rules and algorithms. They eliminate the impact of human emotions and biases, ensuring consistent and disciplined trading. This can help avoid impulsive decisions or deviations from the trading strategy. 24/7 trading. Unlike human traders, trading robots can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without the need for breaks or sleep. They can monitor the markets continuously, identify trading signals, and execute trades even when the trader is not available. Backtesting and optimization. Trading robots can be backtested using historical market data to evaluate their performance. This allows traders to assess the effectiveness of their strategies and make necessary adjustments or optimizations before deploying them in live trading. Diversification and multi-market trading. Trading robots can simultaneously trade across multiple markets, instruments, or timeframes. This enables diversification of trading strategies and reduces the reliance on a single market or instrument. Reduced emotional bias. Human traders are often influenced by emotions such as fear and greed, which can lead to irrational decision-making. Trading robots eliminate emotional biases and make decisions based solely on predefined rules, leading to more objective trading. Time saving. By automating the trading process, trading robots save time for traders. They eliminate the need for manual market monitoring, analysis, and order placement, allowing traders to focus on other important tasks or pursue additional trading strategies. Speed and efficiency. Trading robots can execute trades instantly as soon as the predefined conditions are met. They can scan and process large amounts of data quickly, providing faster response times to market movements or trading signals. Those are the advantages, and that is the purpose of why we use trading robots. And in this tutorial, we're going to be looking at how to create our very own trading algorithmic trading robot. We're going to look at calibrating the robot and preparing it to trade with minimal drawdown. Okay. Now, there are a few strategies that we can use when it comes to trading, and we're going to look at a few of them, and we're going to assign only one of them to our trading robot. So the first strategy I'm going to go over is the vortex crossover with the MACD or MACD, moving average convergence divergence. Right. So I'm looking at because we're using a trading robot, we're going to basically just work on the 1 minute time frame. It's going to be literally in and out of trades really quickly, and really racking up the profit throughout the course of the day. So this is Bitcoin that I'm looking at, Bitcoin USDT. So if we take a look at this, we're on a 1 minute time frame, and you can see that there's a lot of movement here. Bitcoin moves hundreds, if not thousands of dollars daily. We're going to add some indicators to the chart. So I'm going to, and by the way, this is TradingView, tradingview.com. So you can head on over to TradingView, you can take a look at the chart. It's totally free. It's totally fine. I think with the free account, you can only add up to about three. I believe it's 3 indicators total. So yeah, I'm going to add the MACD, so MACD, to the chart. You can see it's added that to the chart here. And we're also going to add the vortex indicator. Right? Vortex indicator. Sweet. I'm going to edit the MACD indicator. So I'm just going to go over here, hit the cog, and I don't really want to see the histogram, right? I'm not interested in that right now. So how this strategy works is when the MACD crosses up, the vortex indicator also needs to follow, right? So when we get a cross up of the MACD, like you can see right here, you can see there's a cross up of the MACD here. I wonder if I can draw that. Can I draw a circle? I can. I could draw a circle. You can see that the crossover happened here, right? And then what needs to happen then is there needs to be another crossover in the same direction on the vortex indicator, right? So if I was to get another circle and draw on here, you can see there was a cross up here. It did in fact cross up. And then from that point, you can hold a long position or buy position for about 3 minutes, right? That's essentially how that would work. So the cross up happened here. So we can probably have gotten in on this candle, screen candle here. And as you can see, it did actually go into profit. It went up, obviously it came back down, it would have hit the stop loss. We could probably would have put the stop loss below the previous, pretty much lower than the previous lower low, and put the take profit maybe somewhere where, you know, price impulsively fell from. So maybe somewhere high, I don't know, something like that. Now here's the thing, the trading robot will not be using that kind of trade setup. Like, we don't have a stop loss or take profit. Well, we do have a take profit, but not in the sense that not in the traditional sense of trading, which you'll soon come to see. But yeah, that's basically it. That's the strategy. If the MACD crosses up, the vortex crosses up, that's a buy position. If the MACD crosses down and the vortex also crosses down, which you can see here. Let's see if I can draw this in. Get a circle. We can see the MACD cross down here, and the vortex also cross down here. We enter for a sell position, maybe here. We can hold that for about 3 minutes, right? Pretty good. It's as simple as that. Now, that's the vortex crossover strategy. So I'm just going to remove all of those drawings, and we're going to get on to the next strategy. The next strategy we're going to look at is the RSI combined with the RSI combined with the stochastic oscillator, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to go to indicators, we're going to type in RSI. You can see here, relative strength index. I'm going to add that. I'm just going to edit this because I don't want to see that. RSI based moving average. I just want to see the RSI, that's all. And we're going to add the stochastic oscillator. So stochastic. There it is. Stochastic oscillator. Sweet. So how this strategy works is that when the stochastic oscillator is above 80, it's considered a overbought market, which means that the price is likely to reverse, right? it's too, like people are buying too hard, and it's more likely to reverse in those conditions than it is and when it's not overbought. And likewise, when it's oversold, when it's oversold, the stochastic oscillator falls below the 20% level, right? So you can see 20 down here, it falls below that. And it means price is oversold and it's likely to reverse. But combined with that, right, when a stochastic oscillator is above 80 or below 20, we also need to take into account the RSI. The RSI needs to be above 70 and below 30. So it needs to be above 70 in the overbought market and below 30 in a oversold market, right? So if we take a look at an example here, right, we can see that the price for Bitcoin here was above 70 on the RSI, and it was also above 80 on the stochastic oscillator. To be honest, we can actually match these. So if we wanted to, we could change the period of the RSI to match the stochastic oscillator or vice versa. So I'm actually going to change the stochastic levels. So upper trigger line, I'm going to change that to 70, and lower trigger line, I'm going to change that to 30, just so that it matches my RSI, right? So you can see here that price was above the RSI. If I get my handy little circle here, see price was above the RSI there, and you can also see, sorry, the stochastic oscillator, it was above 70 at this point, and it was also above 70 on the RSI as well, as you can see. We could enter the sell trade there and held that, and you can see that Bitcoin fell, right? So the strategy was respected in that circumstance, right? Now, if we were to look for a buy entry to go long, you can see here that the stochastic, so the RSI was below 30. You can see here, and also here you can see on the stochastic it was below 30, below 30%. So we could have entered for a buy position from that point, right? And you would have been in profit. So that's how we catch those entries, right? Obviously, I'm cherry picking this. Previous historical trends can't really predict what will happen in the future, but we can give ourselves the best chance possible here. So that's the RSI combined with the stochastic oscillator. That's how that works. This next strategy is a little bit crazy in that it has quite a few indicators working on the chart, right, or present on the chart. So what this next strategy uses is the RSI, which is Relative Strength Index. It uses the CCI, which is the Commodity Channel Index, and it also uses the Ichimoku Kinko Hyo, or Ichimoku Cloud, right, which is basically just a trend indicator. So let's take a look at that. We'll go to indicators here, and I'm gonna add in my RSI, which is Relative Strength Index. I'm gonna add in my CCI, which is Commodity Channel Index, and I'm gonna add in my Ichimoku Kinko Hyo, or Ichimoku Cloud, right? Now, how this strategy works is pretty simple to the previous strategy where I covered with the RSI and stochastic oscillator, right? So we take a look at this. Whenever the RSI is above 70, right, it's considered a overbought market. So let's take a look for short positions, right? So we're going to look for where the RSI is above 70, which you can see here. I'm just going to get my handy circle. You can see here, RSI was above 70. You also want the commodity channel index to be above plus 100, right? So because the commodity channel index runs from positive 100 for the top level, it has 0, which is in the middle, and it has negative 100, which is the base, right? So to sell, we need the RSI to be above 70. We need the CCI to be above positive 100, which it is, yeah. But we also need the candles on the chart to be above the Ichimoku cloud, right? Which it is. It's actually above the Ichimoku cloud because the cloud's back down here. You've got span A and span B. There's a whole bunch of things we can do with that, right? We can there's a whole lot we can do with that. We have the so all three conditions are met. So in this case, what would happen is that we would short, right? We would short from this level. Let's see, horizontal line. We'll sell, and you can see that Bitcoin did fall from this level, and it fell below the Ichimoku cloud, and it carried on going down. And I think it just kept going down and down. It just kept dropping. Look at that. That would have been a marvelous trade, obviously on a 1 minute time frame. But yeah, that's basically the concept of that. If we were looking for a buy entry, what we would look for is price being lower than the RSI, lower than 30 on the RSI, right? So we've got 30 down here. As you can see, it was lower than 30, and it was below negative 100 on the CCI. You can see here. And you can also see that the price level was actually below the Ichimoku cloud. As you can see here, right? Which is great. So from that point, that's a buy entry. You can hold a buy trade. You can see the prices, it did actually move up. You could have been holding this buy for quite some time. And it carried on going up. You can see that's where it kind of hit that high point right there. So that's how that strategy works. Obviously, cherry picked. Nothing's guaranteed. But we'll cross, the bridge of uncertainty when we come to it. Right, so that's how that strategy works. So Ichimoku cloud, RSI, and CCI all work together to find your trade entries. Brilliant. So this strategy, or this final strategy that we're going to look at, right, is probably going to be it's going to be the last one I'm going to show you here. And it's most likely going to be the one that we're going to use with our robot. No, it will be the one that we use with the robot. Because it's the one that I've found that has the least drawdown, the least amount of indecisiveness in terms of, entering the trade and following through. So with this strategy, all it uses is moving averages, right? So it's going to use 3 moving averages. Obviously, with the moving average, the lower the period, the more quickly it follows price. The higher the period, the slower it responds, because it's basically a lagging indicator. So we've got a slow moving average and a fast moving average. Obviously, the fast one is across the slower ones to find our entries and under given circumstances. So let's take a look. So this strategy uses 3 moving averages, right? SMA or just MA, which is moving average. I'm gonna add 3 of those. So 1, 2, and 3, right? And the first one is gonna have a period of 6, right? Hit OK. I'm going to leave that as blue. The second one is going to have a period of 14. Yeah, 14 will do. So 6 and 14. I'm going to change the color of that to yellow, right? And hit OK. And the last moving average, I'm going to give that a period of 50, right? And I'm going to call that, sorry, I'm going to color that red, right? Let's make it red. So 50 period moving average. So the way this strategy works is that the fastest moving average needs to cross the middle one, the medium slow one. So the 6 period moving average needs to cross the 14 period moving average. So if we're buying, for instance, what needs to happen is the 6 period moving average needs to cross the 14 period moving average going up, right? But it needs to happen when price is above the 50 period moving average. So you're only buying in an uptrend, but only selling in a downtrend, right? So let's see if we can find an example of that. Let's change this to, it's already on automatic. Okay, so it's quite rare. So you can see here, for example, we had a buy option here, right? So probably would have entered for a buy there above the 50 period moving average. You can see, you know, this is mainly just moving sideways. There's nothing really in that, right? Let's see if we can find, it's really hard to find the buys. It's all sells right now. Like here, for example, you can see there was a cross up above the 50 period moving average. Happened right here. So you could probably enter for a buy, but had a nice small bullish movement right there. It's nothing really significant. I'm trying to find a really good example. It's really hard because Bitcoin, for the most part, is looking bearish. It's literally heading down. So yeah, like here, for example, you can see this would have been a really good entry, right? Price, the 6 period moving average crossed over the 14 period moving average above the 50 period moving average. Would have entered for a nice long position and would have held that while the price of Bitcoin rose, right? But the same goes for when it's falling, right? When there's a cross down below the 50 period moving average, we can short Bitcoin. As you can see, we could have shorted that to the downside. And you know, there were plenty of instances where we could have shorted Bitcoin to the downside, right? It's a pretty simple strategy. So we only cross up. You only go for buy entries when the 6 crosses the 14 going up above the 50 period moving average. And we only enter for short positions when, or we sell when there's a cross down below the 50 period moving average. Like here, for example, you can see. And again, I'm cherry picking. There's a cross down here below the 50 period moving average. Could have held that all the way down to here, right? Which is pretty sweet. So this is the strategy that I believe we can assign to our robot. The bot will handle all of the trade entries for us. We don't even need to worry about all of that because it can be very time consuming just sitting at the charts looking for entries, especially when you're manually looking over multiple time frames. If you just on a 1 minute time frame, we can just have the bot collect historic data to calibrate itself to see if it's profitable to trade or not, and then it will just go from there. So this is the strategy that we'll most likely be implementing into the trading robot. Okay. So when it comes to setting up our work environment, we need to make sure we have MetaTrader installed. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a download. So we're going to go here, I'm going to download MetaTrader. And we're going to be working with MetaTrader 5, right? Let's go to that, the first link, accept all, and we're going to go straight to download. Now, I'm using Windows 10 on this machine, Windows 10 Professional. You can do the same with Windows 11. You can only download it to a Windows machine, so tough luck if you're using a Mac. Right, so go ahead and download that. I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna go and take a look here. I'm gonna take a look inside of my downloads folder, right? And just go to your downloads folder and run the installer for MetaTrader, right? And let's see what we have here. You can see that we have that right here. So XM MT5 setup, 64-bit, which is what my CPU is. It's a 64-bit machine. So let's go next. Let's wait for that to install. I'm just going to use all the default settings. And yeah, just going to wait for that to finish. Click on finish. I do not want to log into MT5. So you can just close that web page. It's not important. And straight away, you'll be greeted with this window, right? This is basically open an account, which we'll cover shortly. Right, so this is MetaTrader. It has the all the assets, all the asset windows or charts that you can view, and it's got the indicators and the expert advisors, which is right here. There's a few sample example expert advisors you can look at, other examples relating to math, operations and calculations and whatnot, which is really interesting stuff. Moving average. I'm not really sure what this 3D morpher is, but anyway, and that's to enable and disable algorithmic trading. So yeah, MetaTrader is pretty much set up, good to go. So next we're gonna go over looking at setting up a brokerage account. Now, what I recommend is that you go over to Vantage, right? If you go to Vantage, I believe it's Vantage FX, right? Now, you don't have to use Vantage with your live account, but I do recommend them for trading with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, because that's what we're going to design the robot to trade. We're going to design it to trade Bitcoin. So this is the broker that I'm going with. I don't have any particular reason. They're not sponsoring me or anything like that. I don't have any particular reason to pick Vantage over any other broker. I just found that they gave me access to trade Bitcoin, which is great. So I'm just going to go to Vantage, go ahead and create an account here. And when you sign up and you open a demo account, they will email you the account the account ID of the account that you just opened, and they'll also email you the password, and they'll both be on the same email that you will receive from them. So using those details, you can sign into MetaTrader, right? And this is how that would work. So if I just take a look for my details here, let me see if I can find them. Okay, so I found my login. right? So all you got to do, once you have your login and it's you have your login details and it's been emailed to your email address, all you got to do is go to File and then Open an Account, right? And then I'm going to look for Vantage, V-A-N-T-A-G-E. Find your company. And straight away we can see the Vantage, a few Vantage options here, right? I'm going to go with this one, Vantage International, because that's the one that my broker states. So I'm going to go next. I'm going to log into an existing account. I'm going to put in my MT5 login, which is that, and I'm going to put in my password, which is this, and then I'm going to put in the international demo, right? And finish. So these details, all the details for your login, again, will be sent to your email address. Invalid account. Okay, I think I put in the wrong details. Let me double check my credentials. Accounts. So again, you can go under the navigator, go to accounts, and let me see. I probably put in the wrong password. I probably changed it, to be honest. I did, yeah. There we go. So that would log me in, and also you guys, you'll be logged into your account, which is great. And yeah. We don't need all of this stuff. We can literally close out of everything, absolutely everything. We're not looking at currency pairs or anything like that. We're only looking at Bitcoin, okay? Because that's the only thing we're interested in. So BTC. Now, if you can't see any of these windows, if you accidentally closed all of these windows, I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you the hotkeys that you can use to get them back. So to get open the market, it's Control M on your keyboard. That shows you the market. We can look for Bitcoin, BTC. We want Bitcoin US dollar, so that's the one we want. For some reason that's not. There it is. Right, so I'm going to right click on that and chart window. You see, right, it's added directly to the chart. And yeah, that's basically it. We've got everything set up and we're pretty much good to go, which is great. Absolutely perfect. So that's that. So when it comes to actually making the robot itself, what we're going to do, we're going to go straight to IDE, which is up here. And we'll be greeted with the development environment, right? So from here, you can start the creation of our robot, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of ways you can go about doing this, but the quickest way, I believe, is to just to copy an existing expert advisor and just overwrite it with your own code. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to go into the Explorer by clicking this yellow folder right here, so we can open the existing document, right? And as a matter of fact, this is for opening files. We don't want that. I'm going to go File, Open Data Folder. Yeah. So open the data folder, and all of our robots are stored inside of MQL5, right? So it's going to jump into MQL5, and we're going to jump into experts here. You can see advisors and examples. I'm just going to grab one of these expert advisors. So let's go with this one, expert MACD. Let's grab that one. We'll copy that. So Control C. I'm gonna come back a little bit, and I'm gonna paste that expert advisor right here, right? So it's literally just inside of the experts folder. And let's rename it, right? Let's call it MA Bitcoin Bot. So moving average Bitcoin Bot. And it's an MQ5 an MQ5 type file, right? So let's open that up. And straight away you can see that we have code in there, right? Because that's basically just the previous export advisor that we had. We're gonna clean this out. Just wipe it clean. We don't need it. We don't need any of that. Just clean slate, right? So the first thing we want to start with is the some information about what this thing is, right? So you can go ahead and put in your name, your copyright notice, so on and so forth. So you can go ahead and put that in, which is great. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to write a disclaimer. So a disclaimer is like this isn't financial advice. Trading is risky. 70 to 80% of investors lose their money. Yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff, right? So go ahead and write in your own disclaimer. You can copy this one if you want to. It's no big deal. You can go ahead and put in your disclaimer, which is cool. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to start with the code, right? We're going to start with the code. So with that, the first thing we want to do is create an instance. We want to create an instance of CTrade, right? So I'm going to put a comment in there. We want to create an instance of CTrade, and to do that, we just we include CTrade from it's an existing library inside of MetaTrader, so we just include that. Just copy out this code as you go along, and then we're going to copy. We're going to create the CTrade instance, right? So go ahead and do that, which is cool. Sweet. Now, next, what we want to do is we want to create some sort of boolean that helps determine whether we've started trading or not, right? Because we don't want to, if we're checking every single tick, we don't want to say, hey, the trade started, and we leave it unchecked, because it's going to keep spamming trades, and then that will just keep using up the margin, and then before you know it, it's lights out. So we need to control that. So we need to have something that basically indicates that our initial trading conditions are met and the trade has started. Now, this does not mean immediate trade entry by any means. It's literally just an indicator that we've started looking for trading positions. So that's basically a boolean, right? And we're going to call it trade started. So we'll call it trade started, and we'll put a semicolon on the end of our variable declaration. So next, what we're going to do is create another variable. And this one basically represents the length of ticks to wait after closing with profit. Okay, the length of ticks to wait after closing with profit. And we'll just make that an integer, and it's going to be called await entry. Await entry. After that, we're going to create another variable. We've got quite a few variables to create, to be honest. Another variable. This one is custom range to allow us to easily control entry levels above and below a certain price level. See, the way the strategy works is that we find the entry like that. We got our entry. This is our entry level. Let's say we're selling, we're shorting. That's our entry level. Right? We log it. Let's say we're going to sell. So we hope, our hope is that price will fall. Okay, so we'll come to this level. We sold. No, that's wrong. So we're selling, right? So we're basically at this level where we want to short the asset, or we want to short Bitcoin. We don't necessarily get in on a sell yet. So let's say, it's in the entry zone for looking for trades. What happens is that trade started, gets triggered, right? We're now looking for trades. What's happened there? What it will do, what it does, it creates a price range. So it creates a low price and a high price, right? A sell price and a buy price. So that's where price was, and it creates a low and a high price, right? So I think if I can better demonstrate this on a chart, it would be amazing. So let's see. If I can draw in the shape here, maybe a rectangle or something. I don't think this is giving us anything. Rectangle, right? Let's insert that. Right, there we go. So let's say we've entered we started looking for trades. The bot started looking for trades inside of this box, right? Inside of this box. Now let's see, properties. Can we fill that? Okay, never mind. So we started looking for trades inside of that box, right? Or the robot's looking for trades inside the box, because prices entered this box, like so. And what the robot will do is it will create two price levels. It will create a high price, like that, and it will create I'm actually going to change this to a different color so we can get an idea here. Maybe yellow. So it creates a high price or a buy price, and it creates a sell price, like that. So doing that would mean that we now have a price range, right, to work with. Now, if the price decides to reverse and touches or falls below the sell price, it would just short it. It will go short. But if price decides to go higher, it will go long. Right. So here you can see here, right here. If I was to open my snap tool, my snipping tool, so you can see here, right, that price did in fact go pretty high. It touched the buy level, but then it came back down. It touched the sell level, right? So we would have closed out of this trade here, entered for a short position, like so, and you can see price just carried on going down and down and down and down and down and down, and then it came back and it touched that level, right? But we probably would have made profit already. So that's kind of how that works. So it works with a set of price ranges. I'm going to close out of that, and let's go back to the robot. So whenever we close with profit, I'm just going to continue working on this now. Whenever we close with profit, what happens is that we want to have some sort of control over, not close with profit. When we enter a position, we want to make sure that we can control how high or how low, above or below the 50 period moving average, as discussed in the strategies, we are in order to actually enter that or start looking for trades, right? So we'll just create a double, and it will be called max allowed dist. Nothing too complicated, right? Right. So next, we have our profit target, which is our interest, right? So double. Okay. So go ahead and make that. Okay. Just make sure you're following along and you have all of these variables, because if you miss any, it's not very good. It just won't make any sense. Okay, so our profit target is is basically our interest. Our interest is basically whatever we are trying to earn on top of, on top of breaking even, basically, which we'll cover more on in a bit. The current price of Bitcoin, we need to be able to log what the current price is, right? So current price of Bitcoin, we'll create a double current price, right? Let's make some space here. So next, we need to be keeping an eye on whenever we close out of a position, we close a previous trade. So we need to keep an eye on what our losses are, and how much are we accumulating in terms of losses. And to do that, I just created a variable called debt, right? So we'll call it debt. So total accumulated losses, debt. Okay. Now, we need something that would represent our buy price and our sell price. So our buy price is where we're going to go long, our sell price is where we're going to go short. Okay, so we need a buy price, which is our price to go long. Okay, we need our sell price, which is our price to go short. So go ahead and make the buy price, go ahead and make the sell price. Right. They're doubles, all of them doubles. Okay. Now, obviously, whenever we close out one trade and go into another, we are actually increasing the volume or the lot size, right? So to do that, we need some sort of multiplier. So custom multiplier value used to increase volume or lot size. We'll just call that mult, M-U-L-T, right? Mult as in multiplication, multiply. We need to keep track of the current loss amount, which is the current P&L. It's heavily related to debt, but more of a current value instead of a total value. So total loss amount, last P&L. There you go. It's a double. We need to keep an eye on whether we have entered a hedge trade because that's what this really is. It's hedging in a sense. Because if we choose to, if we want to sell at a high price, but the market carries on pushing upwards, but we expect it to sell at that price, we need to kind of like use a stop loss, right? But in this sense, we're not really using a stop loss, we're just using a hedge, right? So if price carries on pushing upwards against our position, we just open a buy order and just let the buy order, rake in the profit or break even. So are we currently hedging a long position? Okay, a Boolean for hedge buy. Are we currently hedging a short position? Create a Boolean for a hedge sell. Okay, so that's that. Next, we're going to create a custom fixed distance that will allow price to move about it. So that's basically the size. It lets us control the size of our price range, right? So a custom fixed distance, and that's going to be a double, right? So a custom fixed distance, we will allow price to move about it, price range. Next is the number of times the buy and sell price are tested within the price range. So what we're doing now, right, on the chart where I kind of showed you like where price is doing its thing, the truth is we do not know how price would react at these levels. So according to my current research, it is possible for price to even test both these upper and lower levels, right? Numerous times. Sometimes even up to, I think the most I've recorded was like in Bitcoin, and anywhere between 13 and 20 times. So price just bounces about inside of these, inside of our price range. I've done all kinds of things. I've tried to increase the price range to give it more room to move about, but even then, price still consolidates and bounces back and forth inside of a huge price range. $200. I've even tried $1,000. I've tried $50. Tried $20. Price just keeps doing its thing, and there's no way to predict what it will do inside of that range. So I've even tried to have like a dynamically scaling range where each time that level's tested, it will kind of like readjust the other level. That never worked really well. It worked for a bit. I managed to like get backtest a robot for like maybe a year or so, but it's the profits were diminishing. It's just diminishing returns, and it just wasn't worth it. So the best solution that I've found was to get an average, right? Get an average of how many times price consolidates in those given levels, and work from that. Just go halfway or something like that, or how much you're willing to risk. Like, depends on your multiplier. It depends on your account size. It depends on a lot of factors. But yeah, we are going to be limiting things in a certain regard, because obviously we increase the volume or the lot size each time one of these levels is tested. It will get to a point where we stop increasing volume, because the platform has a limitation on how much volume you can use for any given asset. In this case, Bitcoin. I'm not really sure what the maximum volume is for it, but it's definitely limited, and we don't really want to go past a certain level anyway, because we're going to be using so much margin, the account will be blown in a matter of seconds. So we need to control that. Anyway, coming back, a custom fixed distance we would allow price to move about in. Right, so that's our previous one. This next one, right, the number of times the buy and sell price are tested within the price range. Okay, so it's an integer, and we're going to call it num size tested. Okay, that's what it's called. Next is the original volume or lot size. So it's just a default, volume size for Bitcoin at this given point. Default lot size is a double. Then we're gonna log what the current lot size is, which is just lot size. Okay. Next, the amount of time to wait until starting the next trade. Right. So we can control that quite easily. So it's going to be the frequency delay, right? I just call it frequency delay. I don't know why I called it that. I just feel like I should call it that. Right, next, the limit at which to stop applying the multiplier or for the volume lot size, right? We're just going to call this retest limit. Pretty easy. And that's what I meant, like, it's the level at which we stop increasing the volume, because we don't want the volume to go past a certain point. It would just blow the account. Just reckless endangerment of our funding. Next is the difference in price between the target entry and actual execution. So the difference in price between the actual entry and the actual execution, right? So we'll just call that slippage, because that's basically what that is. So it lets us get into a trade before we actually hit the actual price that we want to trigger at, because due to some sort of discrepancy between maybe the broker and their servers and this MetaTrader, there can be some latency between the two, and the trigger may not order, or it might order a bit too late. So it's a good idea to have some sort of slippage between those two prices, so you enter earlier rather than on it or sometime after it. But better to be early than on time. in this case. So we just create a double called slippage range. That's what I called it. Next, our next variable is going to be the maximum number of times price tested both sides of a price range in a given trade. So we'll just call that max range test. Probably the wrong description to use for that, but for now it works. So max range test, right? And then, last but not least, the number of price retests to wait before an actual entry will occur, right? So we want to let price do its thing for a while, and then we're going to enter. And that's all based on historical data, right? That's where this really shines, because we don't have to just start trading straight away, or get into a trade straight away. It's all based on historical data and how the asset has been performing over the last few. It could be the last few days, it could be the last few months, it could be the last few years, depending on how far you're willing to go with the backtesting and how much data you're willing to collect from the past and assign to our trade. You're good. Like you can trade tomorrow based on the last 3 days of data. So we're going to call this we're going to call this variable consolidation limit, right? So let's put that here. So the number of price retest to wait before an actual entry will occur. Sweet. Right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to write our initialization function. So if I put an integer, I'm going to call this int on init, right? On initialization. And we have an open and close parentheses. And then we need our open and close brace, right? I'll save that. Now what we're going to do is really quickly, we're going to grab all of these guys, all of the variables that we just created, all of them. Apart from this one, we don't need trade, but all the way up to trade started, right? Going to copy that, Control C, copy all of that. I'm going to go down to the initialization, and we're going to paste, Control V, going to paste in those variables. Now, we don't want to be declaring these variables again when actually initializing them, because they've already been declared. So to get rid of the variable type in front of each variable, right? Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of this one. Get rid of that one. Get rid of this one. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. And get rid of this. And that. Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start actually setting these values. So equals. So that's trade started. That's Boolean. False. F-A-L-S-E. Can't spell. That's false. Await entry. That's going to be what is that? That's going to be 2000. Let's set that to 2000. Right. Max allowed dist. Let's set that to 100. Interest, which is our profit target, we'll just set that to 0.5, 50 cents. Current price, set that to 0. In debt, we'll set that to 0 to begin with. Buy price, 0. Sell price, 0. Multiplier, that's going to be 3. Last P&L, that's going to be 0. Hedge buy, false. The capital F, no, it's lowercase. Don't know why that's acting strange. No highlighter for it. Hedge sell, false. Price range. We'll have a price range of we'll give it $50 to play with. So it's got a $50 price range to kind of fluctuate. Num size tested. Num size tested, that's going to be 0, right? Default lot size, the lowest lot size for Bitcoin in MetaTrader 5 is 0.01, right? That's going to be the default lot size. Now the actual lot size is going to equal to default lot size, okay? Frequency delay. Frequency delay is going to be 2000, right? Retest limit. What's the retest limit? It's going to be 5. And slippage range, that's going to be about $10. Max range test, 0. And consolidation limit. Because we're going to be collecting, we're going to go over collecting historical data first before we actually start placing any trades. And I really want to show you guys that. We're going to set this as something Bitcoin probably never even reaches in its lifespan. So I'll probably set that to 100 just for our testing, right? At the end of this, we want to do a return init succeeded, right? And put a semicolon on the end of that. Let's save that, right? So if we take a look at this, now this await entry, we could probably set that to 0 for now. But if you want to set it to 2000, you can. I think that's just, it will kind of wait until it actually starts entering trades. So that's the initialization, the declaration of the variables that we will be using, and the initialization of the variables that we'll be using. But next we're going to go over the actual logic that the bot will do to actually look for trades and start placing trades. So I think if we did compile this, we shouldn't get any errors or warnings, so this should be pretty clean. So what we're going to do next, well, what we're going to go over next is the actual logic for the robot. Okay. So here we are again, and what we're going to do is we're going to work on the logic for our robot, right? And so what we have so far is that we've declared our variables, we've defined them, and we've initialized them. So now what we're going to do, we're going to jump right in here, and we're going to start by creating a tick event. Now a tick event is something that happens not every second, because as far as my understanding of the way things are in MetaTrader, and I could be wrong for this, but it's not second or real world time based. It's not like second based off from this machine. It's probably based on ticks from updates from a server somewhere, maybe the broker servers, or I don't know. Right, so let's start by defining creating our tick function, right? So void, and it's going to be called on tick, right? You're going to have open and close parentheses, and then open and close brace. So this is our tick function, and whatever happens in there is basically just going to happen regardless, right? It's going to happen every tick. So it's constantly checking, as long as the robot is running, right? So the first thing we want to do is get what the current price is of our asset, the current symbol, which is Bitcoin, or whichever symbol we're looking at. But in this case, it's Bitcoin, right? So to do that, we get the current price and we set it. Obviously, we declared current price in, somewhere up here, right? Here we declared that here, right? Double current price. We've defined it, which is well, we initialized it, sorry, and it's 0. So we don't need to redeclare it, right? We just say current price equals this, right? Every tick. Next, this is important for placing trades, because without this parameter we can't actually place the trade. The ask price, right? So we want to declare the ask price. Now the thing about this is that we haven't declared this one before, so I'm just declaring it and then setting it instantly. We could have done the same with the other variables, but I don't know. I just happen to work this way. There's many ways to skin a cat in coding. Anyway, we want to set the equity. Equity is basically your balance, including the profit or losses, depending on where it currently is. So we get our equity. We get the actual balance, right? Let's get our balance. We get our P&L, which is our profit and loss, our current profit and loss, so we can actually keep track of that, which is basically the equity minus the balance, right? So we know where we originally are compared to our first deposit, right? And that's quite important when it comes to like setting our take profit. We do actually have a take profit and a stop loss, but it's not in the way. It's not in a traditional, conventional way of thinking about it. It's somewhat different. So now what we've got to do, we've got to create some arrays, right? We've got to create some arrays for our price data, right? Create some arrays for our price data, and we do that by creating a double, right? So let's create a double. So I've got a double on my array. Just go ahead and create that. So we have a double called my array, right? Next, we have another one which is called this my array 2. You can literally just copy and paste the previous one and just, I don't know, like put a number on the end, because we're also going to make number 3 and also 4, right? We've got 4 of those. Okay. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to create some, indicator definitions, right, for our moving average, because it is a moving average based strategy, right? We do that by this line right here. So go ahead and type this line into your IDE. So it's integer called my MA, or my moving average, equals IMA, and then it has these following parameters. It's in the MetaTrader library. That's why we can pull out that function, and it just does its thing. Obviously, we can set the period here. So I've set the period to 6. It's a smart moving average. We actually don't need this moving average 4, but I'm actually going to leave it there. I think I'm going to leave it there because I'm working from my previous code. So yeah, because we may want to experiment with it at some point, but for now, this is how you declare what a moving average is when we define it. I'm going to do the same thing for the moving average 2. Just go ahead and do the same line again. Just call it my MA2, and also do the same for 3 and 4. Okay, 3 and 4. So my MA3 and my MA4, and that is our indicator definitions. So what we can do now, we're going to move on to the next bit, which is where we sort the price data from the current candle downwards, right? So let's add that comment. So sort the candle from the current candle downwards. So go ahead and type that into your IDE. And to do that, we're going to actually just set array as series, right? So array, set a series, and we just put in our array, and it takes two parameters, that function. So it takes the my array, and then it also takes the Boolean parameter. Go ahead and copy and paste that again. And do it for the others, right? So my array 2, 3, and 4, right? Okay. And that's those. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to temporarily copy the data from the indicator buffer to an array, right? So let's make a comment for that. Make a comment. So temporarily copy data from the indicator buffer to an array, right? And to do that, we just copy buffer. It takes a few parameters again. It's just predefined functions. So copy buffer my MA 003 my array my MA array, right? So let's go ahead and copy that. This is just so that we can set up our moving averages correctly. We do the same for my array 2. We do the same for my array 3, and the same for my array, or my MA array 4, right? So that's that. Next, what we want to do, we want to calculate the current values for the moving averages, right? So calculate the current MA values. Let's capitalize that. So to do that, what we do, we just create a double, right? Because we need this so we can actually read what value or what price the MA is actually at currently. So we do that by just creating a double called my MA value equals my MA array 0. Right? Do the same for my MA array 2. Do the same for my MA array 3, and do the same for my MA array 4. Right? So that's how we calculate the moving average values, the actual value of the moving average. So now let's go over the logic for actually entering a potential trade setup, right? So a potential trading setup, but it's not an indicator of entry, okay? It's not an indicator of entry. It's just, we're here. This is where we want to set the price range. Do your thing, right? So this is going to be the if statement for that. So what we're doing is we're saying if our trade has not started and my MA value is greater than my MA value 2. So if you take a look at my MA value, right, which is this one, the first moving average, and my MA value 2. So my MA value and my MA value 2, take a look at that. You'll notice that the period is 6 and 14. Now, in the example that I showed before, I did show that the third moving average, not the second one, the third one, was 50. So you can have a moving average that's 50, and you can be above or below it, and that'll basically indicate an uptrend or a downtrend. If it's below the 50 moving average, then it's a downtrend. And you only want to be looking for short positions. If it's above, then it's an uptrend. You want to be looking only for long positions. But there's nothing wrong with pulling it at 26. The lower it is, the more trades it will take on MA3. So I'm just gonna leave it at 26, and yeah, you can do the same. So the logic here is that if the trade hasn't started and my MA value is greater than my MA value 2, that basically means the two moving averages, or moving average 1 crossed over moving average 2 going up, and the current price is greater than this moving average 3, which is like the really slow moving average, which determines the trend, and it's greater than that moving average by some given factor, which is our max allowed dist, right? And I believe we've set that. Max allowed dist, where have we set it? We set it to 100. There you go. So we can actually customize that, and it all has an effect on how how the robot would enter to trade, or if it will enter at all. So basically, yeah, so max allowed dist plus MA3, and also await entry is less than 1. So it only enters if await entry is less than 1, which is basically like the cool down period, right? If that's the case, then just going to put an open and close brace. Then the first thing you want to do, you want to set the buy price to be the current price, right? Because if it's crossing up, then that means that's a buy signal, right? So you want the buy price to be the current price. You want the sell price to be the current price subtract the price range, which we've already set. The price range is about $50. So let's say it's crossed up, which means we want to sell. We want to buy, sorry. But if price collapses $50 below, that's going to be where we're going to short and close out of our buy. The market hasn't respected our sentiment. Price fell, and we're just going to short Bitcoin from that point on. So to do that, we just say the sell price is equal to current price subtract price range. And next, it's really convenient if we wanted to create some sort of visual debugging tool. So we kind of want to see like what's actually where the bots actually place these price levels. So to do that, we just do an object create. We call an object create function. We want to draw a horizontal line, so that's how we do it. My bad, I forgot the an object. So object create, and then it takes all of those parameters. So you can call it my line, which is a string, and then it takes this object here, 0, 0, and we're going to place that line at the buy price. And again, we're going to draw another horizontal line. We're going to put it at the sell price, like so. So go ahead and type that in. Next, we need to prevent. Well, we don't need to prevent anything. We basically need to set that. Yeah, we do actually need to prevent that. So we need to prevent a repeat placement of this trade. So once we've done with all of this, we lock everything in and we say, yeah, we're good to go. So that means trade started is now true. So set trade started to true. And that's basically it. That's how we enter a trading situation, but it's not necessarily an indicator of trade entry, right? But guess what is? Whatever happens after that point, right? So the hedge trades. We're going to cover the hedge trades next. And the logic for that. Okay. So next we're going to go over the logic for the hedge trades, right? So these are the trades that trigger when we have our range and price touches either the buy price or price is greater than the buy price or the sell price, right? So starting the hedge trades, right? Let's put a comment in here. Starting the hedge trades. And we will go over our buy hedge trade. So I'm going to start off by writing a if statement, right? And it looks like this. So go ahead and type that into your IDE. So if we're not currently hedging a buy and current price is bigger than the buy price plus the slippage range, and the trade has started, right? The trade has started, and current price is greater than the moving average value 4, right? So that's what we use the moving average for. It's to confirm entry for the hedge trade. So we do actually use moving average 4. Yeah, can't believe I forgot that. But anyway, if that happens, all of our logic will go inside of these braces. Right? So the logic we want to do for that, the first thing we want to do is we want to increment num sides tested, which is the number of times we test each side of our price range. So num sides tested plus plus. Then we want to do another if statement, right? Because we want to check if num sides tested is greater than or equal to our consolidation limit, right? So have another condition here. So if num sides tested is greater than or equal to consolidation limit, and then we have our open and close brace, like so. If that's the case, there's a few things we've got to do, right? The first thing is that we want to log we always want to log our P&L whenever one of these levels are triggered, right? Because we're either doing one thing or the other. We're either closing out of a previous position and opening a new position, you know, closing out of a sell position and going in for a buy, we're closing out of a buy position, going into a sell. So we always want to keep logging what the last P&L was. So last P&L is equal to last P&L plus P and L. Okay. Next, what we want to do, we want to close all trading positions, right? Close all of them. We don't want any position open, so we do that by we're calling the trade.position.close. Trade.position close. We put in the symbol. It takes its symbol, the current asset symbol, as the parameter, and that will close all positions. Next, we want to open a buy trade, right? So open a buy trade. We do that by writing this line. So trade.buy. It takes in these parameters. It takes in the lot size. It takes this, which is just null. It takes the ask price. It takes our stop loss and take profit, which we don't really use because we got some other kind of logic going on. And we have a comment that we can have. So I just put in bot executed trade. Okay, so that's that. Next, we have another if statement. Okay, another if statement, and it's still inside of the previous if statement, right? We don't close out of this if statement. So at the end of this trade.buy function call, just press return and paste. Oh, obviously you can't paste because it's not on your clipboard, but pull in this line. So we're gonna type in this line. So if num sides tested is less than retest limit, right? If it is, I'm gonna open, close new braces. If that is the case, then what we do, we want to increase the lot size. So lot size equals lot size multiplied by 3, like so. Then after we do all that, about 2 braces down, it's not even 2 braces, it's more than that. It's no, it is 2 braces down. Okay. So It's actually here. So two braces above, and you can actually see, you know, where this brace, what this brace answers to, like where it was opened or where it was, and the opening one, you can see where it's closed, because there is a slight color change. It becomes bold, and it shows you like where the closing brace is. You can see it's here, right? So just before that, we want to falsify the hedge sell, right? Because this is a buy hedge trade. We want to falsify the hedge sell, and then we want to set the hedge buy to true. So we lock and confirm everything we've done here, and it stops it from being executed again. And that's that. That's how we do the hedge, the hedging for the buy trade. Let's proceed here and we'll do the same thing for hedging for the sell trade. Okay. Bugs. So to hedge for the sell trade, what we've got to do is obviously we'll put in our comment, right? So sell hedge trade, and then we have our condition. Very similar to the very first one that we did. So if we're not currently hedging the sell, then and the current price is less than the sell price minus the slippage range, which is like down there somewhere, and trade started, is true, and the current price is less than my MA value 4, which is so the moving average value 4, right? Now, these moving averages, they're not. I think I did mention in one of my videos that smart moving average. These aren't smart moving averages. These are simple moving averages, right? So let's see. So this is a simple moving average. All of these are simple moving averages, and then it's only MA4 that's an exponential moving average, right? So I use that to kind of like get my entries, and I found that helps or contributes to a lower drawdown for some reason. So yeah, so if the current price is less than my MA4, what we're going to do, we're going to have an open and close brace, and whatever goes inside of these braces contributes towards that condition, right? So again, in similar fashion, num size tested, we're incrementing that. We're doing another condition, which is, you know, if num size tested is greater than or equal to consolidation limit, open and close brace. We're setting the last P&L there as well. We're setting we're closing all trading positions. We're opening a sell trade this time, right? Okay, opening a sell trade this time, and then we want to do the multiplication for the multiplier, right? So to do that, we just add another if statement, another open and close brace. Inside of there, lot size equals lot size multiplied by whatever mult is, which we can manipulate in the initialization function, right, at the start. And then two braces down, 1, 2. We've got our hedge buy. We set that to false, so it reopens or re-enables our ability to start again with our buy hedging. And then we set hedge sell to true, which locks everything up and stops this from triggering every tick. And that's basically the hedge trade's done. Brilliant, that's the hedge trade's done. Like, that's basically it. So next, what we're going to do, we're going to go over some housekeeping to control the behaviors of these trades, because sometimes we can be looking for entries, but then it may not even trigger. Then price will just deviate from our entry or our zone of entry, and it can deviate quite a lot. It can deviate thousands of dollars, and it will never come back there. Perhaps maybe in the next few 2 to 3 days, or even months or weeks. So what we have to do we need to have it automatically cancel out of our position if price deviates from our given range too much. So we're going to go over that. We're going to go over locking in profit, and then we're going to go over handling the countdown timer and setting the maximum retest so we can collect historical data to work with, and then we're going to work on outputting values to the screen. Okay, we're going to do that in the next video. So now what we want to do, we want to clear trading conditions if there are no trade entries, right? And that only occurs under a specific condition. Okay, so clear trading conditions if there are no entries. So our if statement, so if trade started is true and non-side tested is less than consolidation limit. So the consolidation limit is basically what determines after that amount has been exceeded, that's when we can actually start to enter trades. But if it hasn't even reached that, then we do that, and then we do another if statement, right? So if current price is less than the sell price minus 100, or current price is greater than the buy price plus 100. Now 100 is just basically the range by which we decide that we don't want to be in this position anymore. We close out and start looking for new positions. And this only happens if we haven't even reached the consolidation limit yet, right? Now, I think if you're using I'm sure you can find that key on the on your keyboard. It's literally to the left of the Z key on a QWERTY keyboard, but on a laptop you might have to look around a bit. It's just the OR operator. And that's the C++ based operator. But yeah, so that's the if statement. We have an open and close brace, and inside here, what we want to be doing is we want to set trade started to false. That's the first thing we want to do. We want to set trade buy and sell, hedge trade, or hedge buy and hedge sell, right? Let's set those both to false, right? Like so. You want to set the trade position got close, or basically close out of that. Close out of all trading positions in case any are open. I don't see why any would be, because we haven't even reached the consolidation level yet. But I don't know. Just for clarification, you want to set the buy price back to 0. You want to set the sell price back to 0. You want to set the last P and L, right, to 0. You want to set the lot size back to default lot size, which is the original lot size it started with. You want to clear the debt. Which probably wouldn't be a good idea. But yeah, I'll leave that there. I haven't really had any problems with it, because we wouldn't have any debt anyway if we had never really entered any trades. But if we did, yeah, it's designed to come out of trades with profit, always, 100% of the time. So yeah, we wouldn't have any debt. We want to set the num size tested back to 0, and we want to set the wait entry to frequency delay, right? And that will set it to 2000, which will start the countdown, right? That's basically it. And then after that, we want to start. We need something to lock in profit and clear trading conditions, which makes our way to the next trade, right? It's exactly the same as what we did before here, but the conditions different. Oh, it's different, all right. So what we do here, we want to actually set what debt is. Okay, so debt is basically the absolute value of last P&L, because last P&L is basically just going to be some negative number. Right? accumulate it, let it do its thing. But when it comes to debt, we want to keep it positive and just assign it like that. Then we have an if statement. So if P&L, our current P&L is greater than our debt plus interest, if that is the case, we have open and close brace. We want to do all of this stuff here, right? Just go ahead and type all of this stuff in. You can probably just copy it from up here and just paste it there. Right? We want to do all of this stuff. Okay, all of this stuff right here. And after we do that, that would lock in our profit. We close the profit. I'm just looking for the next trade. It's counting down for the next trade, which is great. After we do that, we need to handle our cooldown timer, right? Between trades. So cooldown timer or cooldown counter between trades. And all that is if a wait entry is greater than 0, then all we do is do a wait entry. We decrement a wait entry, right? So a wait entry minus, right? And the last and final thing that we've got to do is go over our logic for setting maximum retests inside a given price range. And that's quite important. So this is the historical bit that allows us to monitor historical data and see what the trends are, see how healthy the trends are. If the max range test is too big, then it's probably not a good idea to trade the following day. If it's too small, then it's really good to trade. You can probably go really aggressive and just start really nailing out the trades. So if num size tested is greater than the max range test, then what we do max range test equals num size tested, and that would just, if it exceeds the ceiling, it pushes the ceiling up a little bit more, and yeah, it just keeps doing that. And last but not least, we need some sort of some debug outputs, right? Some debug outputs. So what we can do, we can just say, we can create a string. Okay, string text equals, and then just write this line in, right? So string text equals this, right? So we've got our P&L. We can output that to the screen. So P&L double to string, put in our P&L value, digits +1, and then we put plus, new line. So that's that. Our current price, you can go ahead and type that in. You can put in our buy price as well. Next, you can put in our sell price. Let's go ahead and put all of this in. Just type it all in. You can copy and paste each line and reuse them as you see fit. But yeah. Go ahead and just put in the rest of the values like so. As you can see, not all of them are doubles. Some of them are integers, and I think let me see. As you can see here, integer to string. It's really that simple. Like you've got double to string, integer to string. Just go ahead and pull in all of those values, and we'll basically be able to monitor what's happening in regards to that. And at the very end, we want to put in comment text, right? Because that's basically a comment. We want to output all of that, right? Because we've basically set what text is, and we just want to output that to the screen. Okay, so that marks the end of all of that logic, right? So let's compile that. We get no errors and no warnings. 10 out of 10. Brilliant. So if we go back to the start, you can see that we have our consolidation limit, right? And that's really important, because if this value is exceeded, that's when the robot will start looking for trades. Okay, so go ahead and compile that, save it, and we're going to jump back into MetaTrader, and I'll show you how to set up backtesting and how we can use historical data to determine whether we can trade aggressively, conservatively, or not trade at all with the robot. Okay, brilliant. So let's jump into the backtesting. So at the moment, the consolidation limit is should be 100, so we can't really reach that level, and we'll see how it performs in a backtest. So if we go back to MetaTrader, what we get is basically we have to open the strategy tester. And to open that, you just press Control R, right? Or you can just go to View, Strategy Tester. First thing we've got to do is make sure that it's using our robot, which it is, moving average Bitcoin bot. Make sure the symbol is the Bitcoin is Bitcoin, right? We're going to set it to trade on a 1 minute time frame, and we're going to let this robot trade weekly, right? So let's go with the first day of April, right? First day of April, and we'll go from the 1st to the 8th. So this is the starting date. This is the finishing date. We want to make sure that visual mode is enabled, and if you can't check this box, make sure that the optimization is disabled, and then make sure that this is enabled. You can tweak the leverage, but I'm going to leave it as 1 to 100. You can change your deposit, and I'm just going to keep that at 1,250. It's fine for me, right? So let's go ahead and start this. So hit start, pause this and bring it. 1 second, let me just double check this code. So compile it, compile, save, and let me just bring this over. So the first week of April, right? The first week of April. We're only using that week to see how the market performs and how it goes. So I'm actually gonna get my magnifier out so you can see the debug prints, right? Which is here. Right? Let's let this run for about a week. Just press the spacebar and just let it run. You can see that the maximum level of the maximum times price has consolidated within any given trade was about 5, right? You can see max test is 5. You might go higher, you never know. Pretty stable week overall, and it's done. Cool. So what we can do, close out of that, we can, from that point on, we can start from the 8th, because that's the day we finished. We can start from the 8th and go to the 15th, right? I'm going to jump back into the code real quick, and I'm going to change the consolidation limit to, because the max test was 5 in the previous backtest, because we're actually trading now, we're going to place trades on this actual week. We can change the consolidation limit to something a lot lower. So since it was 5, the max test was 5, we don't really want to exceed, at least 5 multipliers, right? Because if you take a look at this, 0.01 is our default multiplier, right? If we multiply that by 3, which the bot does every single time, that's the second level or second round, third, fourth, and fifth. Anything higher than that will be higher than 1, which is a really high volume size to use, and you'll need a lot of money to facilitate that volume. So 5 is a good number. So since the maximum number, the max test was about 5, probably a good idea to get in maybe after the second or the third retest in a given range, right? So you could probably put that at 2 and save that and compile it. And if we close out of, just minimize that, and if we go back to the robot, the backtest, we're going to start from the 8th and go through to the 15th, and we'll see how the robot performs in terms of profitability. So hit start. You can see that it's placed trades. Let's go here. You can see the balance is increasing. It's doing a pretty good job. It did fall a little bit low there. It fell down to like I saw it fall to about 40 bucks. But overall, it's done over $100 in 7 days. Is it 7 days? I'm not sure about 7 days or. Let's see. The 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 days. You can even check the drawdown. It did not fall below. It didn't fall below $1,200. It's pretty decent. Pretty decent robot. Now, the reason why this was safe is because we backtested the week before the. Obviously, all of this is a backtest, right? All of it's a backtest, but the principle behind it is that I ran a backtest before I actually ran the backtest where it actually placed the trades, right? So the first backtest we ran, we saw that max test was about 5. It didn't exceed that, so that was a really good number to work with. So we can basically just work with we can get in after maybe the second retest, right? That gives us, all of that room to play with. We've got like 3, in case it does go over 5, which it didn't for a whole week before. Like, we got a lot of headroom with this, a lot of headspace. So that's basically how you can backtest and then place your trades. Now, if you were to use this robot on actual charts, like your actual demo balance, right? Let me just close out of this. We'll close out of a backtest. What I like to do is I like to remove all of the indicators, right? Let's see. So indicator list. Let's get rid of all of them. I did that by pressing Control I. That opens the indicator list. You can right click and also go to expert list, but there's no experts assigned to this. So what I'm going to do now is go to right click and go to templates and save template. And I'm going to call this default with capital D, so default, default, save. If I go and right click again and go to templates and go to default, it would just clear everything and it would just set it back to what it was, which is really good. Now, what I want to do is show you how to set up the robot on your actual demo account. So if you press Control T, that shows the toolbar. You can see your balance here. You can see it's got all of these windows open up, and why it's open all those. Why is it open all those? Close. And what we do now, we press Control N to open a navigator. You can see we have our expert advisor list, right? You can see our robot is also in that list. If you can't see it, you need to go back to the IDE, the editor, and recompile that. Make sure there's no errors or warnings, and you should be able to see it in the list. Even after you've refreshed it, right click expert advisors and refresh that. So to have the robot working live on the balance, obviously you need to confirm that you have the right settings in for the consolidation limit, otherwise it won't place any trades if the consolidation limit is too high. So you can do that. Enable algo trading, so make sure that's set to play, and then you just drag your robot onto the chart. You can allow modification of signals and settings, doesn't matter, and hit OK. The bot, you can see now that the prints show and the bot's active, and you just, as long as the computer is running, the bot will do its work. So that's that. I'm just going to right click and just take it off because I don't really want to be running this on the thing. So just an important thing to note, that if I come back here and we take a look at this. Now the consolidation limit, when you're collecting historical data and you've set your consolidation limit to 100, right? That's just, that's assuming that it would never reach that that many consolidations in any given trade. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's very unlikely. Now, it's important that you know that whatever settings you have with the robot, like with the multiplier, the volume, the frequency delay, retest limits, the price range, the slippage range, whatever settings you have, you need to be happy with those settings, and then you set the consolidation limit to 100. Then you back test it, collect the data to find out what the max number of retests were, and then you come back to the robot. The only thing you should be changing is the consolidation limit. So you change it down to whatever you want, based on whatever the max number of tests were. So you want to change it to something a little less than the max tests. The reason for that is because whenever you change any of these values, it has a knock-on effect, and it affects everything else. It even affects the amount of times the max range test gets hit, right? Like for instance, if you change that 2000 delay to 1000, it's going to basically wait half the time it did to enter the next trade. So it's actually trading more frequently. And the lower this value is, the more frequent it will look for positions. The higher the drawdown will be, because it's looking for more trades. The exposure to the market's even higher. So that's going to drive up the amount of times price is going to consolidate, because it's just how it is. Another thing, this slippage range, where is it? Slippage range. I actually explained that wrong. The slippage range, no, I explained it right, but the way I'm using it in this robot it's actually a little bit different. It's not what you think. So the slippage range, if I was to demonstrate that on the chart, let's say we were going to enter a buy price here, right? So a buy trade here at this level. What the slippage range is it's some distance above that level, right? Like somewhere, maybe, let me have a different color. Somewhere maybe here, for example, right? So what I'm saying is that if price breaks that, if it goes past that, then it's definitely a buy. It's a breakout, and you buy. So I'm not entering the trade before it reaches the level I want to execute at. It's actually entering it a little bit later. So that's what that is. So yeah, experiment, enjoy the robot, play around with it, find what settings work for you, and hopefully you find it useful. Yeah.